Thunder have taken the NBA by storm. For the first time, the NBA champion resides in Oklahoma City. The storybook season is complete.
It sucked to lose the NBA championship in 2026. So that's the new focus. That's the new goal. And how we get there is the same as it's always ever been. Daily improvement, focusing on trying to get better at the things that we can control every day. Hopefully we look up and we've accomplished the same things we just accomplished.
The 2024-25 season was a historic one for the Oklahoma City Thunder, winning their first NBA Finals in franchise history, having a 68-14 record, ranking 4th in points per game, 3rd in points allowed, and 1st in overall offensive rating, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading the league in points per game, averaging essentially 33 points per game, and winning awards such as the NBA regular season MVP, won the 2024-25 scoring title, Western Conference Finals MVP, and ultimately the most important one out of all, the NBA Finals MVP. The Oklahoma City Thunder had one of the best all-time seasons that we saw last year as a team collectively, but also from players individually. I mentioned SGA, but also a Jalen Williams, who emerged in his own right, having a career season in his 3rd year in the NBA, being a huge reason why the Thunder won the NBA Finals, having a pivotal Game 5 performance where he had 40 points. And overall last year, he made his first All-Star selection, made his first NBA All-Team, making 13 All-NBA last season, and he was NBA All-Defensive Second Team. And he's really presented himself as being a top 20 to 15 player in the league already, and is continuing to dominate at the young age of 24 years old. And he earned himself a 5-year max contract extension worth up to $287 million, alongside of Jalen Williams getting extended. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got a supermax extension for a 4-year, $285 million deal that included a record-setting average salary of $71.25 million. And then even other players to this team who have been very integral to this franchise, like a Chet Holmgren, he signed a 5-year max extension that can potentially be worth up to $250 million. And I think that Chet, he's continuing to blossom. At times he had moments of inconsistency throughout the playoffs, but he showed his defensive presence in the NBA Finals, even having a game where he had 5 blocks in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and he averaged 1.6 blocks per game in the Finals. He's showing how versatile of a player that he can be in the inside and on the outside. You just like to see him maybe improve his frame a little bit more. I mean, he's not necessarily going to end up being a freak of nature from a physical standpoint, but you like him to be more strong and dominant and not be pushed around. But he's been crucial to them. But I think really the biggest highlight and testament to this Oklahoma City Thunder team and the job that their general manager Sam Presti has done is the overall depth of the squad, as they're essentially returning the entire roster from last season to this 2025-26 season that the Thunder will have, trying to be the first team to repeat in the NBA Finals since the Golden State Warriors in both the 2016-17 and 2017-18 seasons. You look at integral veterans like Alex Caruso, who they added last year via a trade for Josh Giddey ahead of the 24-25 season, who they signed to a contract extension, a huge catalyst for them defensively and being an anchor alongside with a Lou Dort, who has been there since the 2019-20 season, being one of the best lockdown defenders and all defensive players in the league. Then you look at players and guys like Isaiah Hartenstein, who they signed in the 2024 offseason, was a great paint presence and really overall defender for their team last year and provided depth in the front court alongside of a Chet Holmgren, and young guys on their roster like an Isaiah Joe, who was very versatile for them offensive and defensively, Kason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, the other Jalen Williams. At times he would get some minutes and be solid too. But I think a player that people aren't really accounting for is Nikola Topic, who missed the entire 2024-25 season due to a partially torn left ACL. And I think that he low-key can be a solid player off of the bench for this roster to really initiate the offense and get it to their playmakers, and even have some different rotations and lineups to play with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, and just really be a floor general for this team. And as he is a 6'6" point guard that can provide a lot of mismatches, especially for opposing backups in the league, and just overall playing against potential starters too. So that's another depth piece that's going to be added to this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And I love the way that he sees the floor, his court vision, and how he is improving himself as a shot maker. And unfortunately, their rookie this year that they drafted in the 1st round, Thomas Sorber, he also suffered a torn ACL last month in September, which will sideline him for this entire 25-26 season. But that's also another potential player to look forward to, not this season, of course, but next year in the 26-27 season. So the Thunder just continue to accumulate a lot of talent and assets to really develop their team. You look at the type of accumulation of 1st round picks and overall picks that they have in the coming years. Over the next 5 years, they have 13 1st round picks and 16 2nd round picks via different trade swaps and things of that nature too. Sam Presti is really just looking to overall improve his team at an any means type of basis. And I think that in this video, that's the biggest reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder are built for a potential dynasty and being the next upcoming dynasty that we've had in the NBA since lastly, as we saw the Golden State Warriors win 4 NBA championships in 10 years, the Thunder are certainly on track to do maybe not exactly that, but potentially be the next dynasty in the NBA going into the latter of the 2020s into the early 2030s. And throughout this video, I'll explain exactly why. But before getting into why the Oklahoma City Thunder are built for a dynasty, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram / Twitter and X at SwaggyRuss and TikTok at SwaggyRuss2 for shorts, reels, all content and things of that nature. This is the first video of my NBA season preview series. I'm doing all championship contenders / playoff contenders, not doing every single NBA team because I feel like I can go in a rabbit hole doing that. But stay tuned for all potential teams that we'll have coming soon, of course, in the Western Conference, but in the East as well. And also, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you utilize that hype button. It's a new feature that YouTube has added, so let's take advantage of it for sure. But most importantly, of course, hit the subscribe button. But with all that being said though, guys, let's talk about why the Oklahoma City Thunder are built for a dynasty. Look at the current scope of the NBA Western Conference. Outside of the Oklahoma City Thunder, the rest of the teams that I would consider as potential threats to them would essentially be the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic still playing at an MVP level, averaging a triple-double, being arguably still the best player in the league, even though that a lot of people, especially after last season, will consider it to be SGA, and rightfully so. But you look at the Nuggets as being a threat, especially after they traded Michael Porter Jr. for a Cam Johnson, who I think that can really be very beneficial to that squad. You look at the Houston Rockets trading for a Kevin Durant, having Amen Thompson, who emerged as being one of the best defensive players in the league at the age of 22 years old. Alfred Sengun being an all-star for the first time last year too, and adding more depth to that team. Fred VanVleet being hurt does hurt them, but overall I still think that that team has a lot of great potential things that they can do in the 25-26 season. So those are two teams right there. And then besides them and the Timberwolves, we all know they have Anthony Edwards, one of the best young players in the league, and they've been in the Western Conference Finals the past 2 years. But to me, I still think that they need to make another move to potentially be true championship contenders. But those are probably like the top 4 teams I would consider right now, alongside of the Los Angeles Lakers having Luka Doncic now finally for a full season with a new contract as well too. Those are probably like the top 5 teams in the West: the Thunder, the Rockets, Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and the Lakers. And then after that, it really just gets all jumbled up because we know how competitive the Western Conference is, especially down to the play-in and things of that nature. Last year, you have teams like the Golden State Warriors who acquired Jimmy Butler, and now they'll have him for a full season this year. And they also signed Jonathan Kuminga to a 2-year contract extension, which we'll talk about that more later because I still think it's inevitable that he gets traded. But you have the Warriors, you have the Clippers, however serious you want to take them. The San Antonio Spurs, who could be very interesting this season with all the young talent that they have now, and Victor Wembanyama being back fully healthy because he was on track to be the Defensive Player of the Year last year. And then teams that are interesting, kind of like the Suns, the Pelicans, teams of that nature. What I'm saying from all of that though, I would still consider right now the Oklahoma City Thunder to be the favorites to not only win the West, but still win it all. I mean, you look at the Eastern Conference, we know that it is night and day of a difference between both of the West and the East. The best teams right now, I would say, probably going into 25-26 season, especially with Jason Tatum being injured for the Celtics, it's probably the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers to an extent. Low-key, a team to watch in the East is the Orlando Magic. Maybe people might not put them on a championship contender tier yet, but I do like the move that they made to bring in the Desmond Bane and extend upon Bankero, who I believe he's one of the best players in the league too, and he's continuing to emerge as a young star into his 4th season. They could be a team to watch in the Eastern Conference as well. I think the Hawks can do some great things this year, especially with all the talent they have accumulated through free agency trades and the draft, things of that nature too. But over there, it's definitely a huge difference in terms of talent and overall parity. But the Thunder, I believe, still reign supreme. And I think listing all of those teams, I know you're probably like, where are you going with this? That, in my opinion, just proves my argument that the Thunder do have a shot to repeat this year, potentially win multiple titles within the next few years. I mentioned the great season that Jalen Williams had last year, almost averaging 22 points per game, 5 rebounds and 5 assists, and being an all-star last year. And then the type of jump that he also took in the playoffs and in the NBA Finals in particular, from averages of averaging nearly 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in the NBA Finals. The Thunder have a lot of weapons on their team, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like I talked about already, this guy averaged 33 points per game last year. He just turned 27 years old in July, really just approaching his prime in my opinion, if not still not reached it yet. He's in his bag, and I think that he's continuing to emerge as one of the most unguardable players. I don't really like to get into the conversation that people talk about he's a foul baiter and things of that nature, all that type of stuff. I mean, to an extent, all the great players have done that, so that's just a really pointless conversation to have. SGA is showing why he's the #1 option on a championship team and why he's continuing to get better. And if this team can remain healthy, I think that's the biggest conversation with this team potentially not only repeating but having multiple titles for years to come, is the health standpoint. Because if you look at this time last year, everyone swore that the Boston Celtics were going to repeat, break that streak of teams not repeating, things of that nature too. And then boom, what happened in the Eastern Conference semifinals against the New York Knicks? Jason Tatum tore his Achilles during having a 40-point game, which hurt the Celtics, and you've seen the type of moves that they've had to make trying to get under the second apron and make sure they have enough cap space. They had to trade Kristaps Porzingis, trade Drew Holiday, players of that nature. They traded for Anthony Simons, and they're going to look a little bit different, awaiting the return potentially of a Jason Tatum, or if he's going to sit out the year, but he has made amazing progress, so you never know. But I look at that direct comparison potentially with the Thunder, and you don't want to wish any injuries on any type of player or stuff like that, or talk about that stuff, but the reality of the game in basketball is that this is the fastest pace that the NBA has ever been. And I know you're like, duh, obviously, but you have to take in consideration that things happen, collisions, things of that nature too, and the NBA season is so unpredictable. You never know what can happen, and even if these teams are healthy, there's no guarantee that the Thunder will win again. But my biggest argument for the Thunder having a dynasty and potentially repeating this year is that, dude, they almost won 70 games last year. It gets ridiculous when you analyze the Thunder from a statistical and analytical standpoint. They finished first in the league with a 12.8 net rating, which essentially means their point differential per 100 possessions. They had the #1 ranked offensive rating in the league. They ranked 6th in pace in the NBA. They were 3rd in opponents' points per game. They were 1st in average opponents' average score margin, 12th in effective field goal percentage, 1st in free throw percentage, 10th in two-point percentage, 7 free throws made per game. A lot of people would be like, no surprise of that. 10th in three-point makes per game, 4th in opponents' field goals made per game, and 12th in opponents' shooting efficiency. I mean, I can really just go on a tangent in terms of the rankings that they've had overall last year. There's no reason to really think that that'll slow down. If anything, it'll continue to ramp up, as the average age on this roster for the Oklahoma City Thunder is 24 and a half years old. And last year with their championship win, they ranked as the 2nd youngest championship team in NBA history. So they're only continuing to grow together, and you're having a core that consists of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, and a Chet Holmgren that's learning how to win together. And their head coach, Mark Daigneault, is showing to not only be one of the best coaches in the league. I know a lot of people will probably say, if you give any coach that type of talent, they'll learn how to win. Well, that's not necessarily true, as the Thunder, under Mark Daigneault, have really went through the storm and rain. When Daigneault first became the head coach of the Thunder in the 2020 season, they had a 22-50 record. The next season in 2021-22, the year before they drafted Chet Holmgren, they were 24-58. And then, mind you, Chet Holmgren missed his rookie year in 2022-23, but that's when things started to get back on track. They made the play-in game, and they were 40-42, and then we know in 23-24, that season, they were the #1 seed in the Western Conference, having a 57-25 record and made it to the conference semifinals. And last year, ultimately, they won their first championship in franchise history with a 68-14 record. So it's not like he just inherited a team from a great coach and just ultimately they won in his first or second season. He's been with the Oklahoma City Thunder for 5 seasons as head coach, and now he's going into his 6th season as the head coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they're just really continuing to build a great foundation in OKC, and they're just honestly getting started. When you have a 6'6" point guard / combo guard like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who joined Joel Embiid as a backcourt player, shooting a true shooting percentage of 63% or more, you know that you have something special, and you have somebody that's going to continue to elevate. And this is just him now going into his 9th season. Imagine what the Oklahoma City Thunder will potentially be in the next 3 to 4 years. And that's why I believe it's not only realistic and viable, but inevitable in many ways that the Oklahoma City Thunder are building a dynasty right now. And if you look at their play style and sustainability, they hang their hats on defense. And I think that's really the most important thing. A lot of people get caught up in terms of, you know, the type of talent that they have, the young core, things of that nature as well. But when ish hits the fan, they're not making shots, things of that nature too. We saw some of the adversity they had, because last year it wasn't a perfect playoffs, mind you. A lot of people will make the argument that if Tyrese Halliburton didn't tear his Achilles in Game 7, that some people would have said the Pacers would have won that game. But the Thunder, they had a 16-7 record. It wasn't like the Thunder, they were a team that went 16-2 in their NBA Finals run, or 16-1, something dominant like that. They had some adversity throughout all of that, but whenever stuff hit the fan, they found ways to win. And it's kind of a similarity and a dichotomy to things of that nature I want to compare too much with football. But you look at past dynasties in the NFL, like the New England Patriots, they won in different type of styles of ways. Keeping it in NBA with the Golden State Warriors, people made the argument a lot in the mid to late 2010s that Steph Curry wasn't necessarily the greatest NBA Finals or playoff performer, which I kind of think was pretty ludicrous. They'll point to Andre Iguodala winning Finals MVP in the Warriors' first championship in the Steph Curry, Steve Kerr era, then Kevin Durant joining the squad, winning his 2 back-to-back finals MVPs. People will say that they won in different ways and ultimately they had the talent to do so, so it didn't necessarily have to hang on their best player, but you can't make that argument with the OKC Thunder because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he was overall consistent throughout it all. He didn't average 33 points per game in the playoffs or finals, but he still averaged 30. I mean, what are we talking about? That's still absolutely absurd. So the argument and point I bring up with that is that this team wins in multiple ways, and it really becomes hectic against opposing teams in the NBA because it's not necessarily something that's it's simplified, but it's like you can't necessarily stop it from the Thunder, whether it's trying to guard a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, trying to contain a Jalen Williams, or trying to stop their relentless defense. They're going to find ways to score, whether it's from the fast break or even adapting to the half-court game, which they had to do so in the playoffs last year and still flourished and dominated. So for me right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder going into this 2025-26 season here in early October and moving into later in the month as the NBA season will start, I'm hard-pressed to say that there's any team better in the league than them right now, and that they're built for a potential dynasty, and they should still be the championship favorites right now going into the 25-26 season. They are rightfully favored with the best championship odds going into the next season. Then you look at other teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets, Knicks, Rockets, Lakers, teams to that nature. They clear all of them, honestly. Also random, but Cavaliers. I remember hearing a lot of people that I talked to about the NBA and just hearing different takes if that the Cavaliers would have played against the Thunder last year in NBA Finals, they would have beat them. That's absolutely nonsense. We continue to see a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers not perform up to par in the postseason, and that's why they've been beaten the second round multiple times in the past few years. But I believe that the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're just on a different level right now, and all teams are trying to chase them. But it's not impossible at all for someone to beat them. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I don't think that they're going to win every single year up into the 2030s and things of that nature too as well. But do I think that it's completely possible that they'll win potentially 3 to 4 championships in the next 6 to 10 years? Absolutely, especially with how young this roster is. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just turning 27 years old, things of that nature. Jalen Williams being 24 years old, Chet Holmgren being 23, and so on with the rest of their roster. It's completely possible, and I think likely, that this team is going to be one of the great dynasties when we look in the next 15 to 10 years from now, looking at the success that they'll potentially have. But with that being said though, guys, do y'all agree with me and think the Oklahoma City Thunder are built for a dynasty? If you don't agree, let me know why you think so in the comments down below, and also let me know who you think will potentially not only beat the Thunder potentially in the Western Conference this year, but overall who you think is going to win the NBA Finals going into this season and the potential finals matchup. I mean, it's only October right now, and we're still weeks away from NBA tip-off and seeing the Oklahoma City Thunder hang their championship banner against the Houston Rockets for the opening game of the year. But y'all let me know in the comments down below if y'all think they're built for a dynasty, or if y'all think that someone is going to overtake them soon. Like I said, guys, a lot more NBA season preview videos coming here soon on the channel. This is only one for this week, but there's going to be multiple going throughout the next couple of weeks. It's also NFL season, so I have to account for that too, as I'm posting content there as well. So stay tuned for that and all fronts and all the content I have coming here on the channel and things of that nature too. But yeah, this NBA season preview series is going to be amazing. Also stay tuned for a lot of exclusive content that I'll have as well, guys. Last year I covered the Rockets for ESPN Houston. I will continue to do that as well too. So just stay tuned for a lot of things that I have, whether it'll be interviews, things of that nature, player spotlight, stuff like that. And obviously I'm going to have a Houston Rockets season preview as well too, inevitably. So just stay tuned for a lot of great things that we have coming, thank God, because it's a lot of amazing stuff on the way. It's going to be an amazing 2025-26 NBA season for sure. Yeah, guys, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram /Twitter and X at SwaggyRuss, and TikTok at SwaggyRuss2 for shorts, reels, and all content and stuff like that as well. A lot more fire on the way, guys. Y'all just stay tuned, man, because this is just the beginning, and I'm grateful for all the people who are new to the channel that have been locking in, and also the OGs that have been here for a while as well too. We're going to continue to grow and give all glory to God throughout it all, because he is the reason why I'm able to have any of the success and really connect with y'all. So y'all keep being blessed. Know that you are loved. God has so many great things for you. Keep Jesus Christ at the center of your life always. And yeah, y'all be blessed. Keep being legendary. And y'all have a good one. Peace.